For the farewell speech, I knew I could have taken this a couple different directions, seeing as how I came to the Baldwin-Whitehall School District around halfway through fifth into sixth grade, and I didn't know where I wanted to start with this, but I figured I would just go through my high school career. And first of all, the pre-expectations that I had, or kind of like everybody's, is coming to a new building. I didn't know how I would get along, and I'm pretty terrible with navigation, so I didn't think that I'd be able to get around. I was worried about having classes with friends because nothing's worse than just like sitting in there and not doing anything or not having anybody to talk to. There were all these horror stories about kids being bullied and cyberbullying going on, and I was hoping to try to steer away from that, and hopefully nobody would take it upon themselves to bully me or any of my friends. And another thing is the teachers. Some people are saying like the teachers are the worst in the high school. Some of them were just horrible. Just like my cousins, I'm not going to name any names, but they said that their teachers, they wish they would have opted out or taken different classes because they didn't like the teacher. But on the other hand, there were some of them where they loved their teacher. They were friends with them outside of school, or they were like coaches on the football team. But I was pretty worried all in all, especially the first day getting on the bus and coming here. I didn't know where to go. And then when I finally got here, first day of freshman year, walking into school, I didn't know where to go. And then as soon as I walked in the doors, I noticed that my friends from middle school were standing in a little group. So I just walked over to them, and soon enough, we had a whole group of like 12 to 15 kids, and Gino was yelling at us because we had too big of a group. We were taking up too much of the hallway. And I never thought that I would have that many friends like in the school that I were close to. Like I knew I would have acquaintances, but not close friends. The trying to get to my classroom was a struggle because I didn't know that it was the same layout on every floor. So I'm like running up and down trying to figure out where my classes are and trying to find like the foreign language rooms are in the back that nobody really thinks about, and like Miss Kilburn's room is tucked on the side by the atriums. I didn't know where to go, and then I finally had to stop and ask teachers on miscellaneous floors to where to go. The lunch was another big thing. Like I knew we could sit anywhere, and I knew that a lot of my friends, mainly in my grade, were going to be there. But finding a table when you walk in is the worst, because I walked in, seen some friends that I like kind of talked to but wasn't close friends with. I sat down with them, and then like each day I would try out a different table, and then finally way in the back corner I found my close friends that I was friends with the whole time, and I sat with them for the rest of the year. And then I finally got to school lunch, and I was pretty surprised at how good it was compared to the middle school, and I wasn't expecting that at all. And I met new friends through friends that I never thought I would end up talking to, but I did. Sophomore year is where I met one of my favorite teachers, and I still go to him almost every day and talk. I met more friends there, and it was kind of an awkward year for me, and I didn't know how to act around people, so I was very antisocial, and I didn't know what to do when I like met people. And then I got my driver's permit, and really that's all I remember from sophomore year. It just came and went. It's mainly a blur, but the things that stuck really did stick with me. Junior year is where I met another one of my favorite teachers for one of my favorite subjects, math. I still go to him today and talk, and he's the one who I got to write my letter for college, my recommendation. I got my license, and since I got my license, I was looking for a car, and my grandmother ended up finding me a car, and I ended up becoming more social and like kind of broke out of the shell that I had built the previous years. That's where I actually got friends, like close friends that I hung outside of high school, not just seen in the hall and like, hey, but we actually like would go out places and hang out. And because of that, I met more friends going out like to the mall and stuff. And that's when I noticed like my cousins I became better friends with them. It was no longer just seeing during holidays and stuff. I found myself driving over to their house to hang out almost every day, going to my grandparents a lot. So my family became more friends, and they became very influential in my life. And then in senior year, I'm gonna say that this is probably my most outgoing year. I put a lot more time into school. I'm friends with a lot of people that I never really thought I'd be friends with, and I don't have anybody that I dislike that I can say in high school. And senior year is where you start going to parties and you start finding like who you are, and it was amazing to me how well I was accepted with the friends and the people that I was hanging out with, and I got invited to a lot more places, or my friends are telling me to come over and meet with them and their parents, and I ended up like staying over people's houses. And I'd have to say overall high school was a great experience, especially the end, because towards the end I started to come out of my shell and I wasn't just a shy, antisocial person. And it's when I became my own person. And my only regret through high school is not having the attitude that I have today throughout my entire high school career.